Is to depopulate the planet by over 90%. She'd like for you to talk about that and what's in it for them. Is to depopulate the
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 15. It says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Ahmad Bayan coming to you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. And I have this little video here that I came across, I think I saw this already. I never
planet
did,
by over
I never did a video on it, but it's a lady that basically speaking on her encounter of the higher ups. She didn't call the names, but they do, the elites basically, but she didn't call any names, but she spoke about how prideful they are and the plans that they basically have for the whole world, because it's just this small amount of people that is ruling today. The smaller amount of people that ruling today wants to make decisions for the world itself. All right, so without further ado, let's begin.
Is to depopulate the planet by over 90%. She'd like for you to talk about that and what's in it for them.
Well, I'm glad Jay-Z asked that question. For years, we tried not to use the G word, genocide, when we talked about what was going on because people couldn't hear us. Today they can hear us, partly because we got tired of pussyfooting around what we were saying, and we said, well, screw it, we'll just say it. So people are thinking about it a little bit better, and other people are talking about it too. Everybody knows about the concept of a sustainable planet, right? Sustainable planet means blue skies, without chemtrails, green grass, clean water, the sheep lowing in the distance, right? Peace, serenity, cleanliness. And the World Health Organization, WHO, which you may or may not know.
Fair use, this video here is just for edification purposes only. Alright, fair use, there's a copyright disclaimer here under section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Alright, let's get back to the video real quick.
The planet by over 90%.
Saying, and we said, well, screw it. And it means blue skies, without chemtrails, green grass, clean water, the sheep lowing in the distance, right? Peace, serenity, cleanliness. And the World Health Organization, WHO, which you may or may not know, is a private corporation just like the Federal Reserve and receives more than 2/3 of its funding from the pharmaceutical industry. Not a minor fact. The World Health Organization, the United Nations, the United States government, the Club of Rome, the Illuminati, the Council on Foreign Relations, have all said, right, we have too many people in the world. Now, how many people here have bought into the population explosion business?
And hey, look where I stopped on 44. This this guy, Bill Gates of hell, he also came out and spoke about the same depopulation and whatnot. Now this is something that he really wants to do, to be able to have proper control over the people in the world, all right, on this whole earth, all right, and that includes your country, even your country, and even your country. It's not just in Babylon, it's not just in some of these European countries, it's also in the Caribbean and all these places, all right, on the four corners of the earth, all right, and these devils have their plan, all right, so let's go back into it here.
I used to send money every month to zero population growth because I believed that there were too many people on the planet and we ought to do something about it. That's a hoax, like global warming. In fact,
and so like here, the Lord also told us to do what? Be fruitful and multiply, because everyone has a lifespan, that when you're they have a lifespan when you reach a certain age, or depending on how you live and whatnot, you get on alive, and basically, the place just continue populating as usual, but not to that extent, like a drastic, like a whole set of people just start multiplying quickly, in that type of way, if you know what I mean, right? And basically the world, it has enough space to hold a lot of billions of people, but for these devils, it's a problem because they want total control. They want to be able to have things, to themselves, as the scriptures say, he heapeth all nations and people, and kindreds unto himself. All right, so let's continue.
the organizations that I mentioned have stated in writing that in order to create a sustainable planet, a term that they've co-opted, we have to eliminate 90%, 90% of the world's population. That's a very interesting statement. Now, back to 2002. We had a very interesting medical practice before we closed it, and people from around the world would come to us hoping that we could do things that nobody else could do to help them, and generally we could. So we had a head of state who was our patient. No, it was not the Queen of England, and no, we will not tell you who it was because she deserves privacy too. So one day, this very pleasant, chatty lady said, it's almost time for the great culling, C-U-L-L-I-N-G, the great culling to begin. I said, what? What are you talking about? She said, the culling of the useless eaters. And I said, the what? Because I had heard of things like the Trilateral Commission and the Illuminati, but I had never heard the term useless eaters. I said, who are the useless eaters? She said, everyone who is consuming our non-renewable natural resources. And I said, always the splinter under the fingernail of the establishment, I said, did it ever occur to you that you are consuming the non-renewable resources of those people? And she said, no, I never thought about it like that. I said, well, think about it. She said, that's interesting, but I don't believe it. I said, well, who are you? She said, we are the neo-aristocrats. We are the people at the top of the pyramid. Around us will be our servants, and around them are technicians, and we only need 10% of the population. And I said to myself, this lady is truly bonkers. I don't care what throne she sits on, she's a nut job. And I went and did some research. And I discovered, yes, she is crazy, but so are all the people in her world who believe precisely the same thing. Since 1974, the World Health Organization, not your friend, the World Health Organization has had a commission to develop and deploy vaccination.
All right, so you see where she going with that, as I say again, fair use, fair use.
The World Health Organization, not your technicians, and we...
All right, fair use again, all right? So these devils, they are evil, all right? You see any direction they go in. And this is fast forwarding to 2026 now, we seeing, the outcome of all this, all right? This is the book of, let's read it over again here, Isaiah 29 and 15. It says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord Yahweh, and their workers in the dark. And they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us, right? The heart, the mind is very deep, and tend to always do mischief, This is the you call it again. This is the mindset of Esau Edom, so-called white man, all right? Because these people strongly believe that, their rulership is going to continue forever. This is why they want to basically bring forth, the NWO, and their, and they want to basically have people in that state of mind and they're looking forward to depopulate the world, This is Psalms 49 and verse 11. It says, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their work and their dwelling places to all generation. They call their lands after their own names, right? So their inward thoughts is that their houses is going to continue forever, all right? And this is the mindset of Esau Edom, the elites, right? Same people she's talking about here, right? This lady here, same people she's talking about here.
Only need 10% of the population.
Right? So they just want what, 10% of the population is 90% of the population they want to unalive, That's why they bring in forth their technologies, the AI, they bring in forth the whole digital system, digital currency and whatnot. They ending jobs, they're making a lot of people jobless, a lot of people struggling right now. They basically have that agenda to depopulate the world. It will come in different ways. People unaliving each other because of the lack of food, the lack of bread, the lack of shelter. People also will be unalive, by the sword, by wars, by famine and all these different things. So these elites, what they're doing is basically banking on Jake, and also their own people to basically put matters into their own hands and unalive each other, and also they will come with their devices and whatnot, their what else I could name it? The meds, they use, they have their bioweapons and all these different things, you know, they spray, around and whatnot, and cause the plants to get sick and die out. And there's all, at Salakia, if I speak in this type of way, I'm trying to choose my words wisely, because it will be a very sticky topic, for some of these platforms that these videos just be posting upon, but again, this devil,
will be our servant. And she
this devil, he is basically looking forward to keep his kingdom running, but he wants to do it in evil ways. All right. Now let's say in the book of Psalms, we'll go to the book of chapter 64 and verse 5. It says, they encourage themselves. I'm going to go up. Let's read from verse 2. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not, right? And these devils will shoot at the perfect, the perfect ones, the rich ones, the perfect ones on the earth today, is basically the ones who have that salt, is the salt of the earth, Israel, Yasharallah, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians today, and continuing here, verse 5, it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune in lion snares privately, privately they just commune in lion snares, because this is what they do. They set traps, to make Jake do what? To go and sin and to do evil things behind, do evil things in the sight of the Lord, right? These are the things that Esau is trying to do, right? It says, they say who shall see them, right? But what they fail to realize is that the Lord eyes is 10,000 times brighter than the sun, meaning as the angels is always around, watching, scooping out the scene and whatnot, paying attention of what taking place and recording it, so these devils, they have a lot of receipts, of the wickedness they have been doing, so the Lord is coming with that great judgment upon them. All right. It says they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both their inward thoughts of every one of them, and the heart is deep, right? The mind is very, very deep, they will come up with all kind of different ways just to trap Jake, this is the mindset of these devils. Staying in the book of Psalms again, chapter 5. Psalms 5 and 8. It says, "Lead me, O Lord Yahweh, in thy righteousness, because of my enemies make thy way straight before my face. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth, their inward part is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulchre, they flatter with their tongue," right? So these devils, they're going to tell you all kind of different things to make you believe in their system and whatnot. But really and truly, they have what wicked thoughts behind it, wicked intentions to basically do what? Depopulate, right? And they coming out boldly, when Bill Bill Snakes, he was speaking, he literally tell you what they want to do. And that what he was saying, it basically went over a lot of people's head, you know. And a lot of people out here today, they're not realizing what really taking place, and this is why we as the men of the Lord out here preaching this word today, warning you people of what is there to come, who is the people who is in power, all right, who is the people who is in power, and the things that they aiming to do, to basically unalive, many of you, all right. But they basically doing what? They doing the works of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. It's Psalm 17 and verse 8. It says, "Keep me as the apple of the eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wings." Right? And the apple of, we who is the apple of the Lord's eye is who? The Israelites. All right? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians today. It says, "From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly." Right? And you see the prideness they're speaking about. Yes, you see how they're speaking, how the lady was talking about, the lady like a chatterbox, basically saying things like, they want to get rid of all these people who eating freely, basically speaking about everyone else on the earth besides them, because these people, they will look at the population and say, well, they just want the earth for themselves. When the Lord created the world, the whole entire earth for Israel, right? For Yahushai, first and foremost, but also for Israel, his people. All right, these are the nations. He actually created them to be beneath our feet, to be our servants, to be our slaves. That is what they created for, right? But because we sin against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right, who the world is ignorantly called God and Yahweh, all right, because we sin against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Lord put us in the hands of the wicked, that is our punishment, that is our hell. All right now to this day we are still in right now we in hell. All right, hell is just known as a lower state. All right, it says they are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth, right, with their satellites, their technologies and whatnot. It says, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in a secret place. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right? You see that? Deliver my soul from the wicked. The wicked today, when you go to Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Same wicked in the book of Job is the same wicked it's speaking about here. Right? Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right? So Esau is what? The sword on the left hand side. Bringing calamities, bringing a lot of deaths on the earth. The scripture talk about wherever he goes, death and hell does follow him. Right? So this is these people today. The elites. All right? The top banking families, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds and so forth. All of them. You know, they are all families. All right?
Said,
They are all families. And their agenda is to depopulate the world and to bring forth that NWO by bringing everyone together, by using those RFID total chips, you know, placing those rice grains into your hand or placing that Neuralink into your forehead. All right? So they already have their plan. All right? And that's why the inward thoughts is that the houses is going to continue forever. But it's not. All right? It's not. You hear that, Esau? So, with that, I will end it there. Lord willing, this lesson here was edifying to the elect of Israel. I like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Recha HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect. Shalom and Abad Babal.